All right, boom, we're recording, man. And I'm in the house, yo. Thank you so much for coming through. We really appreciate this.
Yo, really
Yo,
appreciate this,
what's
man.
up? What's up?
What's up, bro? Like I said, we were talking before this that we were gonna start talking about how in all of the world there's graph scenes in pretty much every major city. They're all a little bit different, but to me, there's three that really stand out of having a style that the moment you see it, you could say this person's from there immediately, no questions asked. And that's Brazil, Busflow from SF, and then the Philly Hands. Why do you think that? I'm a big boxing fan, and Philly has just so many fighters that come out of it, and you got to start asking yourself, why is that? And why this relatively small place has so many people coming out who not only have the drive to fight, but the skill, like intense skill, and they, like bike life, that whole culture's from
Yeah,
Philly. The Philly shell is from Philly, and then you got the Philly hand styles. Why do you think the Philly comes up with all this stuff?
Different
I
breeds.
mean, honestly, I think you just kind of said it, right? Like all these things that kind of almost seem unique to my city, um, is because they're being evolved here. Like I'm not gonna say that we don't reach out to other people, but we've always been like a man on an island, right? Like we got enough going on here that we don't gotta look out there and see what you're doing.
Mm,
So a lot of times in Philly, we didn't compete with like trends in New York. We competed within the trends within our city. You know what I mean? Like how they was dressing down West Philly or how they dressing down North Philly, as opposed to how niggas uptown are dressing. I mean, it's like the best I can describe it is that we have a true culture, a
mm,
true like urban culture within our own. We got our own style of rap. We got our own style of dress. We're very proud of it, and it's traditional. You know, we pass these things down to each other. The young bulls do what they see the old heads doing. Like,
mm,
it's good. It's for us. It's good. For everybody else, it's like, well, what y'all got going on?
Yeah.
Um, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my city. I'm proud of and with the hand style thing, I think like once again, it's like man on an island. We didn't compete with New York in the way that they did their tags. We didn't compete with Baltimore in the way they did their tags. We started going our own route, and that evolved, and we enjoyed it. Saw all the flyness in it, and just kept building on it and building on it, and so like yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like if not to say if you stay to yourself that this is gonna happen, but this city kind of stayed to itself, and we just kept building together and building through generation to get what we got. So the Wickeds, the Tall Prince, the hand styles, the length, the way that we draw, we tag real tall. We take up
mm,
big spots. You know what I mean? We use our whole body when we slam. Like we we lean into ours. We had all of our letters got motion and strength, and for us, that's just how it's got to go down. This is how
yeah.
you make your mark. For the rest of the world, they like, oh, I don't understand it. I wouldn't expect them to. You know what I mean? I don't expect them to. But for those that can appreciate it, they see how much structure is really in it, how much tradition is really in it, and I think they get it because for us, tagging is fun.
Of course.
You'll never see nothing more funner than a Philly dude tag. Just the way that he gets down. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Philly dude, but I've seen other young bulls get down like, woo, he hot. And I'm talking about I seen him slamming like, woo, the hand is tight. Oh, the flares is popping. Yo, he got so much control over the way he pulling them letters.
Yeah.
Like that's our world. You know what I mean? We gladly share it, but we're not gonna be ashamed of it. We're gonna be proud of it. And
What if people from outside of Philly come in, or people who aren't from Philly, and they start rocking wickets and stuff like that? What do you think about
I mean, come on.
that?
It is what it is, man. Like, listen, when we have a few artists that have come to Philadelphia and they're not from Philadelphia, who are pretty I consider to be, reputable artists that are known. And they've come to Philadelphia and they've learned the hand styles and they participated in the hand styles with other Philadelphia artists, and they've kind of been indoctrinated into our little history, I mean, the graph. And it seems like a healthy respect to me. It seems like the ultimate nod to liking something is going there, learning it, appreciating it, and then prolificating it with the people that proliferate. I mean, I just think it's fly if somebody takes that time and
Mhm.
comes here and not just learns the hand styles, but meets the artists that are doing the hand styles, understands the mindset, the mind frame. You know, hey, listen, not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we don't knock people that go to New York that ain't from New York, right? Go live in New York, right? And become big artists in New York. We don't knock that, right? We like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna knock a dude coming to Philadelphia or a female coming to Philadelphia, learning these hand styles and
Mm.
and making them look good. You know?
What about in terms of the youth? Because you know, that plays a big role in passing all this down and this culture of graffiti to continue. You know, because in New York City, a big problem with a lot of older writers that you know were looked up to and have a lot of talent. They're kind of like stuck in their caves. They don't really teach the newer generation. And when you go to the
Mhm.
streets, you see a lot of, you know, I hate to say, like toy shit in a way. Like, what do you guys think of passing down that like Philly style, that like that's like very unique hand style onto the younger generation? Do you see that happening like around you?
I mean, it, it's organic. It's either gonna happen or it's not. You know what I mean? It's so many variables that go into trying to like pass off this kind of information to another person. You know, how much are they willing to accept? Um, how much are you doing it in good faith? You know, you trying to create some of these guys, these old heads, they don't just want to pass down information. They want to create another them.
Mm.
They want to vicariously live through you. If they not doing it, they like, yeah, I put together a monster. That's all me. Like they want you to do everything that they say. Some guys are like that. Um, and some are just genuine good old heads that'll just give you good advice, right? But it's a journey of self-expression.
Mhm.
So it's really on you as a person. Like, what kind of person are you? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna accept good and bad, and you're gonna figure out which one is you. That I feel like you can only blame so much on old heads teaching young boys what to do right. When I was a young boy, they didn't teach me to do right. They pushed me out the way, like, get out of here. You trying to take up my space.
Mm.
So I had to fight to get in. But I learned, you know what I mean? I learned the respectful ways of getting down in graphs so that I didn't create enemies. You know what I mean? And I did that over time. I think they got to do it too. You know what I mean? Like, it's just how you blossom. Like, it's a part of graph. If you want to learn this subculture, then you got to put in time and really understand, you know, everything about it. The people involved and how they think. You know, listen, the same rules that apply in the street don't apply in the train yard, right?
Mm.
Same rules, same rules that apply um with tagging don't apply with piecing.
Mhm.
But you gonna get to certain places when you come to Philadelphia, they don't give a fuck about your piece. If you went over the tag that they like, they coming for you.
Crazy.
So then them rules is right out the window. You dig what I'm saying? And in another place, it's vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It's just not acceptable if somebody tags over a piece. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean they could treat the tags in Philly sometimes like throws. They do them top to bottom, end to end, just like something that in New York you'd only really do with a fill. I mean, people are starting to do it more with tags now, but probably because they get an influence from Philly. But I remember, I mean, I love going there and I love seeing the hands, and they'll make it fit perfectly into the building that it's at,
Oh
like it
yeah,
was meant to be there.
yeah. No, Philly dudes got a good eye for spots for tagging, especially with like tall prints or bogey spots. You
Mhm.
know, they realize that they can size their tag that they do. You know, the small tag they do. You can basically scale that same tag for 10 feet tall, and Philly guys are used to making that translation. You know what I mean? So if they see a good spot and they want it, I'm telling you, when I say a Philly rider uses his whole body, I don't mean he's just running down the wall. I'm talking about he bending his knees and pulling his arm all the way up to his tippy toes, and he's coming back around the side. You think this dude was like doing ballet or something? Because they literally, literally put themselves into the wall. You know what I mean? It, you have to like understand that to them, a solid hit is is where you get the fame. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? The more you get out here, the more of a street legend you're known to be. You know what I mean? Philly is very proud
Mhm.
of the tag, as they should, as we should be. You know, it is something that's unique to our city, and it goes so far back, the decades of history that we have with it. At this point, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. The pioneers know about it because it's been here this long.
Yeah. But you talking about you as a writer specifically, you say how you grew up, you didn't really have a mentor under your, like to mentor you, you had to like look at the streets and figure shit out on your own, and you had to really get out there and put in the work for your name to shine. How
Yeah.
important is that in terms of like standing out from the regular writer, you think, nowadays?
Well, like, I mean, I don't want you to get it twisted. I did have people that were influential to me who I looked up and did give me good advice. You know what I mean? My man LM, he was always a dope OG to me. My man Dream, may he rest in peace. He was a beautiful person to me, always gave me good advice, always supported me. But um it was important for me to get out there because with each encounter and every time I went through a little situation in graffiti, I realized the world was a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? And I started to really like, travel a little bit more, and I would see beef and get beef in other places for just not being from that area.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I felt like I was good enough to have made that happen. I was good enough to keep it going and nothing bad was happening to me. I was really making my way through. It gave me a confidence, gave me a strength to be able to go to another city and actually do something. You know what I'm saying? At a young age, at like 16, 17, like, yo, I'm going to go out here and bang shit up. Like, really have that confidence to do it. And I think later on, as the internet and everything evolves, later on, it becomes so easy and so sweet. It becomes like a vacation to me. And now it's like something I love doing. If it wasn't for COVID, I'd be traveling now. But I don't know. It's been pretty wild, man. Like, it's been pretty wild going from illegal to legal in a sense.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
What things do you think graph has taught you outside of just being able to paint better? Life lessons.
Man, it's definitely taught me a lot of social lessons on living in a non-judgment zone. Understanding that there'll be people out here that other people would think are monsters. But that person literally would give you the shirt off their back and split their food with you and all of that. Like, they might show you a different side because they share this passion for art, right? Um, you might meet people that seem like they're the greatest person, but you can see that really all they want to do is exploit this. You know what I'm saying? They want to get money out of this at every turn, every step. They're like hustlers, you know what I'm saying? But they're trying to hustle Graph and trying to hustle you. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You know what I mean? It depends on this. But you start to like really see different types of people is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You start to identify them clearly because Graph is worldwide now. You know what I mean? And when you go different places, you kind of meet a version of each one of those people
Mhm.
in every city.
Yeah, and like you're seeing life in the city in a very raw way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's no censoring. You're there. You're seeing from everything from the financial district, the rich neighborhoods, to broken down, abandoned buildings that haven't had anybody in them for mad long. But writers have
yeah,
went in there and done amazing pieces in the slums where no
absolutely.
one would care about. So you see everything the way it just truly is for yourself. And
It's just like people lessons, man. You know what I mean? And you also realize how much control you have over your life, on, how you can control how many negative people in your life and how many positive people in your life. I think that's the greatest thing about having this connection to people
Mhm.
is that artists can be of any gender, race, anything, right? They could be anybody, but I'll have that affinity because of their work, not because of who they are.
Mhm.
So when I meet them, it really doesn't mean much whether or not there's something that you might think is odd about them. It's not going to change much about how I perceive that person, unless, of course, that person is not a good person.
Yeah.
Then I might think differently. But if they are like a good artist and a solid person, it's such a joy to be able to share art with those people. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, doesn't matter who you are. And I think we're starting to see that now. Like, it's it's a freedom, and it's good to share that freedom with other people. It really is to me. It's freedom, man. I love
Yeah.
painting, man. I love being out there.
I think it's important to say stuff like that because, not a lot of people focus on the positives, like you were saying before about graph.
Yeah,
They just focus on all the negative, negative this, negative that. This person got shot, this person got stabbed, but it's just the yin and yang. There is some positive, and for
but
some people, it
yeah,
introduces
see,
them to their best friends,
the thing about that is those people, like, there is a whole sect of graffiti that thrives off of the negative. They want to see somebody get punched in the face. They want to see somebody get X'd out. They want to see a war go down. As soon as somebody starts fighting online, they grab their popcorn. They're ready for it. You know what I mean? And they want to laugh. They want to make memes. Like, they they want to go in. And I look at it and I'm just bewildered at how much energy people put into that.
Yeah.
Like, it shocks me. Like, wow, you went that hard.
Mhm.
Like, over over what? You know what I'm saying? Such a negative thing, and no one's gonna talk about it. You know, 10 minutes later,
Yeah.
it's foul.
Yeah.
Um, Graph is what it is. It's like the ego sport. People competing with each other, even if they're friends. They get on the wall. They don't want to get burned. They want to do better than their friend right next to them. But it's a healthy competition if you leave it on the wall.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? It could be cool. I think the beef might be, for me, it's for the younger kids. Part of their rite of passage of, trying to be tough or be a part of something. That's I guess I can kind of accept it if a 15-year-old, 16-year-old is saying that.
Mhm.
But when you an adult, I kind of just I can't get down with it. I'm like, yo, you being silly.
Yeah, we've
Like,
talked to a lot of writers on the show, and it's always interesting what they say about graffiti and how it impacts their life, because a lot of them say how they started this because they felt a sense of isolation from their community, a sense of isolation from their family, a sense of isolation from, the day-to-day routine they're supposed to be in, whether it's school, whether it's following a career,
yeah,
a certain path that, they need to follow in order to be successful, quote unquote.
yeah,
But when they do find this community of, writers or like people they connect with, it's tight, like regular
yeah,
people on the streets, they think it's just vandalism and like kids maybe doing drugs or like breaking things and trespassing. But
yeah.
when you really go down to the source, like it's a bunch of kids that are like in a way lost, and they found something amongst themselves, and
Oh
they
yeah,
have something in common. And you break it down, they're a tight community of people, and they have good times, and it's not all about the negative. There's a lot of
it's a
positive to things like this.
it's an esoteric society, you know what I mean? At that point, like, if you know about it, you know about it. If you don't, you don't. You know what I mean? So it's this community of people that live under anonymity, right? Nobody knows exactly who's who, but we identify each other for what the actions that we do throughout the city. I grew up in a city that had a vibrant scene, so there were hundreds of writers around. So I could just look at that, and as a young writer, you wonder, how do I get involved in this? And then all of a sudden, light bulb goes off and you go, I know how to get involved. Let me start writing. Right? So you start writing and then bang, people are asking, well, who's that? And in the scene. And word from here, word from there. You know what I mean? People start connecting and you start running into dudes in the street. I mean, you be on the train and look at this guy looking out the window and he looking out the window and you look at him and you're like, yo, what you looking? He's like, yo, what you write? And the next thing you know, y'all guys are talking and you're two writers and you're like, yo, that's you. And bang, you're out. You know what I mean? Now you connected with somebody that you know is getting up, that you like his stuff. Now y'all gonna go write. You excited for that. That's kind of how I grew up in Philly Graph. You know what I mean? Like, connecting in the streets. We didn't have an internet.
hmm
This thing didn't exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This wasn't a part of the game. So we did that and we connected with each other and we met other writers. And Philly is one of these kind of towns where you meet a writer that's out writing and his uncle may be an old head writer, a real legend. And then you get to meet him and then you meet all his bulls. And after a while, you start to know the community. You start to learn the community here. You know what I mean? And that's how I did it. So, like I said, it's organic, it's real. When in this city, because of the tradition and because of how many writers, there really are. Like, literally, there are kids out here whose father wrote and their father wrote graffiti in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philly's a very unique city in a lot of different ways. Even just being from New York and going over there, you just sense it as soon as you get in there. And one of the things that I always find crazy, well, not crazy, but just like it leaves an impression on me, is it's a pretty gnarly place. And I know that it's like it's had its up and downs over the time. Like in
Oh
1970s, it
yeah.
had a crazy gang problem, and I know that right now, out of all the cities in America that have a population of over 1 million, Philly has the highest violent crime rate. And
Yeah.
you were growing up, you rep Philly for forever. That's your home. That's your place.
Yeah.
How do you think growing up there has shaped you as a man and shaped your mentality and how you see things and how you act?
Oh man, I mean, inner city living, man. Like Philly is Philly is Philadelphia, man. It's a lot of love out here, but it's a lot of negativity too. And unfortunately, um, at my age, I have to, I recognize I've lost a lot of my friends to the violence in Philadelphia. Not, not like a couple, but a lot of people that I thought that were gonna be with me for most of my life, have just been taken.
Hmm.
And I thought that was bad, but when I lived in Oakland, California, and I'm not trying to take away from how violent Philadelphia was as a city growing up in, but when I lived in Oakland, California, I think they had like a population of 300,000 people, but they had the same murder rate as Philadelphia for a couple years. And you just said we was a million plus people here, so being there, I saw a much more violent community. And I would tell my friends back in Philly, yo, they shoot every night out here. Like not just a couple guys shooting guns, but the whole community letting off guns. It was a very violent society back in the 80s when I was in Oakland. So coming back over here, I recognized that there were different kinds of true violence. Like out there was this, small city, Oakland, California, of a lot of blacks and Mexicans that were fighting over drug turf and small you know the police weren't doing anything. They were corrupt in a very like corrupt city. In Philadelphia, it was much more large scale. The corruption is everywhere, but government's so real and so strong here, you don't see a lot of it. And you get desensitized to it because it's in the news all the time. So you don't really, think about it as much. In Oakland, I literally was hearing, black gunshots, that night, like a couple houses down from me, and then bang, they like, yeah, they killed so and so last night. I'm like, whoa, because that's close. That's really close. In Philly, I could be at home and get a phone call. Yeah, so and so got shot down over here, and that's across town, and it's just a bigger city, so it doesn't seem to hit you as much. But I've learned that violence is violence no matter where you go. And growing up in these inner cities, in these hard neighborhoods in America, period, violence is going to be a part of your life. You know what I mean? You grow up thinking, well, it's just not going to be me. Trust me, nobody out here who gets killed thinks it's going to be them.
Yeah.
They all think it's just not going to be me. And after a while, you have to learn to really maneuver, and stay out of the fray. But it's harder for the younger guys. It's not as hard for me anymore. You know what I mean? People don't look to me as a threat. I'm an older man. But the younger guys, they seem to have it even worse than we had it when I was that age.
Mhm.
And so, growing up in the city has made me very sensitive to what's going on with the death rates.
Yeah.
It's not like this is something I say, oh, this is a epidemic problem. This has been a horrifying nightmare for decades,
Yeah.
decades and decades. And you know, every time somebody who I know gets murdered, I think about other people in my life. You know what I mean? And it it just gets difficult, man, to realize that most of us aren't gonna make it. I'm surprised I've made it this far. Honestly, like most of us are not gonna make it. I have like a group. I have a picture. I'm gonna tell you what's like the real story. I got a picture of me and two of my buddies. We're in my bedroom. We taking pictures with a handgun. All three of us. Two of those. It's only three pictures. Two of the boys are dead. My boy Batch dead, my boy Reed's dead. Both of them were shot, killed. I'm the only person that's alive out of those little 3 pictures we took. It's the weirdest thing, but that's what it's teach. That's what it's taught me, that most of us aren't gonna make it in these urban societies, man. We just not gonna make it. Um, and I'm blessed to have still been here. But do I think it's bad? I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible for these young people to have to go through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why do you think that you are still alive as opposed to some people who you grew up with, who you've mentioned in other things like, Dream, Reed, Sam,
Uh,
who they did kind of the same things, you grew up together doing the same kind of things in the same place, and you're still alive. You ever think, does that trip you out? Like, you ever think
yeah,
about
it
that?
does, because what's the difference? If you walk the same blocks and you hung with the same people, like, it's just a matter of timing, right? And you're like, wow. Um, hey, each one of those people that you just mentioned, Dream, Reed, Sam, those 3 people were very loving people to me. You know what I mean? Like, not just friends, but very loving to me. So to see them like taken away, and I just lost my friend Stair due to illness. You know what I mean? I lost my friend LaRon this year due to violence. He was murdered. You know, it, it that's been going on for years. But why me? I have no idea. But I don't know if it's over, right? You never know. If you live out here in Philly, listen, it could be me tomorrow. It could be. So the only thing I can do is try and be around positive people
Mm,
and really not, subscribe to the kind of things that will put me in that situation,
of course.
right? Like, I'm not the type of guy, like, first of all, I'm a graph writer to the end. I'd rather paint than do anything. So I'd rather go paint than go to a bar. I'd rather go paint than go to a party. I'd rather go paint than do most things. Trust me. You know what I mean? So I don't congregate and hang out with people. Every once in a while, I visit my friends, but I'm not the type of dude that's like, come on, let's go to the bar all night. I don't do that. So, and a lot of that is not because I don't, I'm scared to or anything. It's just that it's just not where I'm not really interested in doing all that. I'd rather be painting something. That's real. I'm gonna just keep it 100. Um, and I think the graph has saved me in a lot of respects. You know what I'm saying? Took me out of the way. I told
Yo, 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 I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
my
All right, good.
fault.
We're good
My
now.
fault. I don't know my thing. As long as I got something that I can do, something that I feel like is positive, and that's graph, then I'm not in the way with everybody else. You know what I mean? I'm not standing on the corner where, somebody could have an argument and I could get hit by a straight bullet, right? Not to saying that my friends were in the wrong places were out there like that, but I'm trying to limit those things because it's from experience, right? If my friend got shot standing on the corner, then that was a lesson that I shouldn't be standing on the corner because you could die there. So I'm gonna heed that lesson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If if my other friend got shot walking through the projects, you know what I'm saying, and he had jewelry on and they tried to rob him, then probably shouldn't be so gaudy walking around with jewelry. I shouldn't do that because I could see how far they'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
percent
It's arguing with people. Don't argue with people. Like, you're gonna get hurt one day. Somebody gonna hurt
I
you.
want to say something right to this. Yeah, I mean, they say that the best self-defense is really knowing what situations to not put yourself in the first place. And then also, yeah, in terms of the arguing about people, people are so quick to argue with people, to say this to this person. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what they have on you, what just happened to them 20 minutes ago, 2 days ago. A little quick argument for your ego of saying something could change your entire life right then and there. I know people and have friends who just they're not here anymore because they said the wrong thing to the wrong person, and one thing
Exactly.
leads to the next, and before you know it, it's over. And then all for what? For an argument so you could get your words out and prove yourself to what?
Well, you know what? Like, I just learned that, I used to, like I said, it's a growing thing. I've done it. I've talked crazy to people and done it, but I also realized that, nowadays people do it online, right? And you get online, you start talking tough. You're saying this to somebody else, but other people are watching you. Other people are seeing this and reading your comments. You're putting a target on your own back. You're gonna have somebody who ain't got nothing to do with it decide I'm gonna fuck him up, right? Just shit like that. Like, you're inviting shit to your own plate. It's like, the mark of a true man is knowing when to remove himself from a bad situation. And I understand that nowadays, you know, it's just not that we don't live in that kind of world for this kind of petty stuff. I mean, think about the world in general right now. People are so violent right now. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to use guns, especially in America. Everybody wants to fight. You know, you look on the internet and it's nothing but fight videos. People getting knocked out. You know, people purposely like shooting at each other. You know, people. It's like a thing you can look up, IG deaths, or you know what I mean. You can look it up and they'll show you all the people that got killed on IG live. Like what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what we live in now. So violence has become like a a, a fetish
Yeah.
in America.
It's sad though because bro, we got to do better, man. This is ridiculous. You know, like
Man,
yeah, like it's not in our nature to want to be doing this. Everyone wants to feel love at the end of the day. Everyone wants to be happy. Like we shouldn't be
bro.
aiming towards this type of vibration on this earth. Like I just seen something how I think the mayor or something of Chicago was like their murder rate is insane right now and they're like dressing up for Halloween as like hand sanitizer and like some like COVID masks. Like and like playing a joke, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
some crazy shit and there's like some real stuff going on and like
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's up to us. We can't rely on the upper ups to like watch
It's
out for us anymore, man. I think that's what we've come to realize, honestly.
it's definitely up to young people to really kind of to voice themselves. You know what I mean? In all respects, and use all the tools that they have at their disposal to do it. You know what I mean? I think art is proven to be a powerful voice, and I think you have people that are living it. It's best to hear it for them. As a graffiti writer, I feel like all graffiti writers are basically like we love the sign of the times. Anything happens, we want to paint it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter who does what. If it's funny to us, if it's something we think is crazy, we're ready. We're ready to put it out there for the world to absorb. So I think um, that's a great thing for art, and it's also a great thing for graffiti writers to kind of recognize the power they have because I think that'll help them in their business. I think it'll help them, you know what I mean, as people. You know what I mean, and overall, just as artists, to really get comfortable with freely expressing yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like you said, you keep touching the same strip over and over and over and over again. Eventually, it's just a matter of the odds that something is going to happen to you. So, what would you say to the youth listening right now? There's probably tons of writers who are going to listen to this who will look up to you, and they're like you and other writers are like legends, as like gods in their eyes. And what would you say to them as advice, just generally, of how to, they're not going to stop writing, approach graffiti in a positive way, that they're not going to feel
Well,
the negative effects of it to the force.
honestly, listen. I'm not here to tell no kids not to write, or no. I'm not trying to tell anybody not to actually be involved in the realest of real ways, and
Uh-huh.
that's to exert, put yourself in it. Um, but what I would say is, it's your personal journey. However you decide to take it, you know what I mean. Like, be safe, be careful, uh, and I would personally pick and choose how I want to express myself. You know what I mean? Like, if you feel as though that you want to get the most rep, be safe, be careful. You know what I mean? If you feel as though you want to be the best at a certain thing, I just want to do, you know, rooftops. Yo, be safe, be careful. You know what I mean? Like, if you say I just want to do characters, yo, be safe, enjoy, be careful. Whatever you want to do, I'm not here to judge you and tell you what not to do. But what I would tell you is that um, don't get involved in jealousy and petty like beefs. Don't don't try and turn your graph crew into a gang. You know, be a graph crew, man. Like, you know what I mean? I understand. I know y'all gangster, y'all hood. We all from the ghetto. That's dope. I feel you. But really, like, it's not that necessary. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe if you're from a certain side or a certain part of town where that is the way it's going down, fine. But to me, I feel like fighting over beef is corny. Fighting over, yards, train yards is corny. fighting over walls is corny. Like, come on, man. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. Fighting over Xing somebody and like really, like I always feel like if somebody asks me, I'm not gonna really give them a whole lot of shine. I'm gonna just keep going harder and outshine them. Like I'm never gonna give them credence. I'm never gonna sit there and like give them that and be like, oh, you hurt me so bad. Nah, fuck out of here. I know what it was when you did it. It was jealousy. I'm not capable of having beef with you. I have to keep moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Just can't do it. And I think that that would be my advice is to don't ever let somebody take you into a negative space, no matter what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you just want to bomb and be the biggest bomber. Just don't let nobody get you into a really bad space, man. Like where you're into some like political bullshit or you know, you're getting into like violence. Because I visit some of these other places when I go to paint. And a lot of times, man, I hear about the beef of the neighborhood. I hear about the beef of this wall or the beef of this yard. And I just want to be like, damn, yo, for real? That's what y'all doing? Like I wouldn't even be worried about that. I would just be painting, bro. I would just ignore it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just outshine it.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will take note to the passion you had towards your art
Mm.
and realize, you know, that supersedes anybody else's pettiness.
How was your
You feel-
personal journey in terms of learning all the Philly hands and starting to write NM like you did, and learning the roots
I
of
was
it, learning how to
blessed.
rack?
I was blessed, man. I was blessed. Everything that I did in graph, I look back now and it was a blessing. I had all good people around me as I was coming up, and the bad ones, you know, they were ejected as accordingly, you know. But all the people that taught me about graph, when I look back on it, they were very supportive. You know what I mean? It was a time when no one liked what I was doing, of course, you know, as I was called a toy and all that. It was definitely a time when I was horrible, but because I continued on my journey and I never let anybody tell me what I could or couldn't do, um, people then started to like some of the things that I was doing. They started to really appreciate my hand style in Philly. Um, some people liked the way that you know I came through when I was bombing hard. So I kind of earned me a little spot.
Mhm.
I just think that because I wanted to do more than just tag, I wanted to do the throw-ups and the straight letters, the pieces and all that. I feel like they decided to give me a lane and just let me do my thing.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And ever since that kind of happened back in the 90s, I've always gotten a lot of love from all Philadelphia writers, and I've always been able to like, you know, connect with guys that I don't think I would have ever met.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did like growing up in terms of your family, like your mom accepting what you're doing, like you running around, like she's seeing your graffiti? Because I know a lot of people have seen that movie Infamy, man. Does it ever trip you out that it has like close to 1 million views? Man, I think you put that
No,
Philly hand style on the map so much in terms of like people overseas, especially, like European
yeah, no,
writers, like people across the world, they know what's up now because of that movie. Because like even me personally, as a little kid, man, I watched that shit like 20 times, I think.
I appreciate
Or
that,
even
man.
even yo, even like our friends who, when we told them you were coming on, we were like, yeah, NM's coming on. They were like, oh, with the crown naturally, like they were just like they got stuff remembered.
With a little weed in the
I
mouth.
appreciate you, man. You know what? I think, like I said, man, I've always been really, really lucky. You know what I mean? I didn't even when we did that movie Infamy, I had no idea what it was gonna be. I just knew a friend of mine asked me to participate. I said, sure, no problem. Talked to the people, worked out a little something. They came down. It was fun, right? Um, I had no idea that it was going to be as popular as it really was. So, you know, I always felt like that's cool, but I wasn't looking to take advantage of that or anything, or even, you know, I've always kind of just chilled.
Yeah.
I think it's dope, but it's not Star Wars to me.
Mhm, yeah.
I'm an old head, right? So my joint with Star Wars, it is dope though. You know what I mean? When I look at it, I think it was made really well. Um, and as far as like Philadelphia, man, if I could shine some light on my city, wow, I'm lucky, right? I'll be one of the lucky guys that was able to like say, I gave something to and contributed something to the graffiti culture in my city. You know what I mean? I would rather it be, yo, NM's hand style was so dope, he's the dopest. But if it has to be, yo, NM showed the world or showed a lot of people what we were doing here, then I'll take that. You know what I mean? Because, I'm proud of Philadelphia.
Mhm. Yeah, but in terms of like going back to like your mom, what did she think of that growing up?
Uh, you know, I, man, I don't know, man. My mom has always been like a real thorough person in my life.
Yeah.
To this day, she's still thorough. I still, that's my baby. She, I guess she's one of them people that just is like, hey, you are who you are.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And you just got to be the best that you can be. Like
mm,
she really believes that. You know what I mean? And taught me to really believe that.
mm,
You know what I mean? That's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel like you're doing things that you've never done before. You feel like you're pushing yourself to go places you've never been before. You feel like you're living your best life.
Mm.
And my mom has always pushed me to do those things and always been like, yo, this is, who you are. Like, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Be comfortable in your own skin. She's always been supportive of the graph. She's an executive at a television station for years and had my pieces in her office. I'd be like, oh no, no, right? But that's just how much she loved me. You know what I mean? Like, it was no problem with her being proud of it, even if the world wasn't proud of it. She still was like, he creative. You know what I mean? Like, he's a creative person. And she accepts that and has always been supportive. I can only hope that I'm doing the equal thing with my children. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? To really kind of give them that same kind of push. Um, because most people grow up and feel like they gotta make $1 million.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And if they don't, you know what I mean, they feel like they haven't done it in life, and I feel bad for that. You
yeah.
know what I
That,
mean?
that's no, I was gonna say that's funny you say that because I just recently had a talk with my own mother about that. How I told her that, like, I told her that honestly, in my opinion, no amount of success, no amount of like
Materials.
material success or amount of like career growth or like following a certain path you think you should will amount to true happiness. It's a matter of what the child
Yeah,
wants. I think it's very important for a parent to truly understand their child and what they're passionate about and what they truly care about. Because no matter what a parent wants them to do, the kid's gonna have their own mindset on the world. And I think it's
true.
very important for a parent to understand who their kid is as a person. A lot of people go through
Here's the
life and they
thing,
don't
though.
even know their children, man. It's crazy.
Here's the thing, though. That's a big part of what they gotta compromise. But it works both ways. Then you have to understand that everything they're telling you is for your best interest, right? So it's like, damn, I know that you're looking out, but you gotta let me make these things happen. You gotta let me do it the way I need to feel comfortable with. But it's like I know that there's many times that she's been like, "Don't go there.
Yeah,
You shouldn't do that." Right? And I'm like, "What you mean? I'm good."
yeah,
And she was like, "Oh man, something bad's gonna happen." And then I'll do it anyway, and something bad does happen. And I'll be like, "Wow, man, she was on it. She knew what was going on." But I still felt like I had to learn that myself, right? I had to figure that out myself. With graffiti, she knew that she was out the water with she did not understand graffiti like that. So she kind of was like a fish out of water with that. She just was like, do it, have fun, enjoy it, because I don't know what you're doing, and then kind of just accepted, the things that I would give her, like, look, this is what I did, or check this piece out, or look at this jacket, and then she was like, okay, I see. Now you got some art going on here,
Mhm.
but what's she gonna do?
Yeah.
She's gonna turn her son in, right? No, she loves her son.
Yeah.
She
Why
gonna
did
lie
you
to the
Why did you move from Philly to Oakland? I didn't know that you lived in Oakland ever.
Oh man, I've been doing that for decades, going back and forth. My father lived in California. My mother lived on the East Coast, and growing up here, like as a young boy, I was getting booked like when I was younger. I was getting in trouble when I was younger. So I kept catching cases and getting in trouble. And so they would send me out there to live with my father. And so then, I would stay there for a little bit and then I would come back. But, then of course I get in more trouble. So then they started sending me out there and put me on like, home supervision and all these like little house arrest things they were trying to do. But I was in, like I said, Oakland was, if not as bad as Philly, worse. So it wasn't like they were sending me to like, somewhere where I was gonna be a good boy. It's gonna be worse.
Hmm.
So, you know, I think I went to high school here, I went to high school there, I had a best friend here, I had a best friend there, I had a girl here, I had a girl there. Like I basically went to high school in Philadelphia and high school in Oakland in 4 years, maybe two and two. So I kind of split
Hmm.
it.
You ever thought about moving out of Philly permanently?
I done that a couple times. I moved back to Oakland years ago for a little bit, and I thought I was gonna stay there. And then I moved up to Rochester, New York, and I thought I was gonna stay there. You know what I mean? But I wound up coming back to Philly. I
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe it's something about it. We we always wind up back in Philly.
Yeah. I was wondering if you hold any resentment towards Philly in terms, a lot of the people that you know have passed away there. You've seen a lot of pain and suffering there. You've also had a lot of good times there, but do you do you hold any resentment to that place?
Not really, man. I just painted the other day with a good friend of mine, Sear. And it was just the people in the neighborhood are just good people. They come by, they just really positive and supportive, and they share stories with you. And, you know, the city still has great people. It's still a great place.
Hmm.
Bad things happen here, but it's not a lot of it doesn't have to do with, with the city itself. It's just that people do things, man. People do things. I'm a realist, man. I don't believe in any paradise or any perfect area. You know what I mean? I know in certain suburbs, you know, things it seems like, oh, nothing ever happens out here.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to compare it. I'm just saying I don't feel I don't feel like Philly is so bad that I'm in danger everywhere I go. I do feel like there are times and places that, you know, this might not be the right move. You know, it's 3 in the morning, this the wrong corner. I probably shouldn't be out here, right? That kind of thing. But I mean, I'm not I'm not turned off about my city, man. I still love my city. I know it's violent out here, and I know it's violent all around this country. Um, but I think that has more to do with just America's fetish with violence than it does my particular city. I feel like that happens everywhere. Chicago, New York, down Florida, Dallas, all over. It's violence is not mutually exclusive to Philadelphia, man. It's sad. It is a sad part of life here, but I don't walk around in fear or anything, and I definitely don't walk around in shame. There's
Hmm.
still a lot of good, great people in this city who do beautiful things for each other and really do care about the future of Philadelphia.
Hmm.
I am actually one of them. So, I would never tell people that these people are inherently bad.
Hmm.
That's crazy. They're not. It's just that, we go through a lot as a large city. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And the optics can be very scary to people. You know what I mean? Because, you know, let's be real. You see on the news somebody footage of a shooting, it's probably not going to look wholesome. It's probably going to look shady. You know what I mean? Uh, the police look like they're overwhelmed all the time in Philadelphia. You know, there are lots of reasons for that, but those are optics, man. That's not necessarily how it is. I think the same of it is that in the neighborhoods where there is violence, people still have to live on a day-to-day basis every day like nothing's going on because they have to.
Yeah.
It shows their resilience, but it also shows that there's a failure in this city to really address the problem. You know, Nobody wants to talk about the gun lines outside on Torresdale Street. Before the store opens, there's 40 people in line buying guns and ammo. Like, listen, violence like this doesn't just happen out of nowhere. But ever since this pandemic, there's been more guns sold in Philadelphia and every one of these cities. Like just guns on top of guns, man. Like we have a fetish with violence. People don't want to admit it, and the guns are the choice of weapon. People love them. All they play with them like toys. One man, what you got 40 guns for? What the fuck is going on? Just I need to be ready. Ready for what? What is really getting ready to happen, man? Like, you're making it tense. People are making it tense out here. So, when you turn on the news and somebody gets shot 6 times, what do you expect? Or 6 people get shot, or what you expect's gonna happen? They're selling hundreds of thousands of guns on these streets every day. It's crazy, man. You know, the Philadelphia is always going to be, you know, a police state. Period. People can say what they want, but the police ride around here every day like they playing, mousetrap, trying to catch somebody on the street, violate their rights. We just voted on whether or not it's legal or whether or not City Hall should outlaw stop and frisk. Of course. Of course you should eliminate it. Of course, but we gotta vote on this. You know what I mean? Most people don't even realize that that's now in the vote. You know what I mean? But I vote. So I checked it out and was like, yo, that shit gotta go. And I'm hoping more people feel the same way. But th- this city is very violent because it's a lot of pressure out here, right? To make money. The black market is here, very strong. The city is corrupt and has been corrupt for many years in many different ways. I'm not trying to like point the finger and be like, oh, the mayor and all. I'm saying like in all different offices, there's always somebody doing some fucked up in government here in Philadelphia. That's just a part of the history. And the people aren't doing that well. More people the people that are making money here in Philadelphia, most of them aren't from Philadelphia. They gentrify the neighborhoods. They build these $300,000 a unit condos. These people, nobody here is moving into that. These are people coming from outside the county, different parts of the state. Now they can have a big city condo in Philly. That sounds like fun. But the people that live here, they can't afford that. You know what I mean? So it's tough times out here, just like in any city. And I think when things are hard, the youth is is going to lean towards the black market and lean towards violence. And bang, all of that stuff is a recipe for death. Just violence in the streets.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You see these things on the news, you see all the death that's happening, you hear the thing of, oh, the supermarkets are going to shut down. There's going to be no more this, there's going to be no more that. We're going to run out of toilet paper. We need to get this. You start really thinking like, yo, I should probably get a gun. Like it's going to you start it paints a picture of, oh, it's every man for himself. It's going to be every man for himself in a number of years. So I feel like it's just your thought will immediately go to, I should be, quote unquote, like you said, ready. Or like they just put in Manhattan a clock showing how long we have until the carbon emissions in the world are overwhelming,
Yeah.
some shit like that. It's like, yo, you put all this stuff out there, and I'm not saying necessarily they shouldn't. If it's true information, then like it's a give and take. But at the end of the day, what do you like? That's what people are gonna do. They're gonna immediately. It's just the times that we're living in, you know.
It's foul, man. It's foul, man. Like this. Like I said, I feel bad that the young kids have to like grow up looking at all of this. Like I said, I thought it was tough when we were younger, but now it's not even a comparison. What kids are subjected to now, what younger people are subjected to, and the choices that you're gonna have to make are so like they're epic. A lot of things that are gonna happen in the next 10 years are gonna be epic for the youth on what kind of choices they have to make. And I just hope that one day we get around to understanding like that guns kill people, and that's it. You don't need none of these guns for anything else. No hunter needs 99% of the guns that they have out there.
Mhm.
You know, it's just not necessary. But, you know, we got enough guns for every man, woman, and child in this country. It's ridiculous, man. Like, really, you shouldn't have to really worry about it. But people just aren't coming to their senses. I thought people were going to come to their senses when they said it's been over 200 school shootings this year. Remember that a couple years back? Maybe about before COVID, a couple of years back, before we had this catastrophe, people were worried about the school shootings, how safe it was going to be in schools because there had been so many shootings and people getting killed in schools, and they wouldn't do anything about the guns. COVID comes along, now all of a sudden, it's murder in the streets again. And people are getting killed all across the country from gun violence because they flooded the streets with guns. And they got all these people to be scared and buy ammo and stand in line. Just insane, man. Every time we flood the street with guns, you're gonna get death. Period. And it's just not gonna end with what we have going on right now as far as leadership, as far as laws. Like it's a couple of things that gotta change.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it is also how, like you said, the media portrays it. Because if you're constantly watching the news and all you see is death, gun violence, shootings, bombings, fires, like that messes with your subconscious mind. It makes you think that
Sure.
the world, as soon as you step outside, is a hell, and like you got to be ready. And you know, it's crazy.
Oh yeah,
There's
the world's burning, right? Oh my God, the world's burning. They
exactly,
want
and
you to
people walk
believe
around with
that moment.
paranoia.
They want you to believe that that moment is everlasting. Like this is what you have to fear. This is gonna happen. This is
Yeah,
gonna happen. You know, it's terrible. What this government, this you know, this government, this media, this time in our lives, you know, it's amazing. You know what's been happening here, man, and it's also to me pretty astonishing how powerful um the bully pulpit is, how powerful it is to have people's undivided attention and what you can get them to do. This is a very scary time right now, man. I'm very much worried that the youth is gonna get caught up in something they can't get out of.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think
pe-
that what we need is we need to use some of the things that are being used in a negative way. We need to switch that and just use it in a positive way. And it's easier said than done, but like we could really spread a positive message and a lot of love and compassion. And we need
yeah,
people who have passions, who like painting, who like reading, who like playing guitar, who like playing sports, who like you need people who we need people who are united, and we have things like Instagram, we got YouTube, we got Facebook, we got
right,
Twitter. We could all have a community of people who I could know 20 people in Philly who write right now, but we got and they could know people in New York who write, or they could whatever. But if we're too closed off and we're like, oh nah, they're from here, we're from here, then it's like, yo, we're uniting ourselves with the
yeah.
very thing that could bring us together. So I think we just gotta, think positive in a realistic way and really try our best to, okay, this
I,
is what's happening. This sucks. Let's see what we can do
absolutely.
about it.
Yeah, you have to think positive because you have to have a healthy mindset, right? You have to be able to look at everything in a healthy way anyway. If you walk in, with a dark mood and dark thoughts, then you're probably not going to get a positive outcome. I definitely agree with you that positivity is a big thing, but I also feel like right now we got to identify a lot of the negatives clearly, and a lot of dancing around what the problems are. So we just have to clearly identify what these issues are, and then um, close the suggestion box and just start doing things that are positive. Like for real, I think we've already done this. Well, what can we do? How do we get people to understand? Like we could talk until the end of time.
Mhm.
Let's just start doing things that are positive. You know what I mean? And start really trying to help each other in that way. If that's how you feel, that's how you should live. Um, we have so many bigger problems that we could have solved in our lifetimes, but we were distracted. And now I think you get into a time where you're gonna have the option of really having somebody do something about global warming. You have to hold them accountable for doing it, and you have to do it. You can't say, well, we've never seen that done before. You have to do it anyway. You have to say, Well, what can a bunch of letters do? We don't know until we get more letters than we've ever had before. You know, we don't know what we can do until you press it, until you get more people to advocate for it and say, listen, you know, Bernie Sanders didn't make it, but it doesn't mean that his ideology isn't going to be carried forth. And it doesn't mean that there's a huge amount of people who wanted those things to happen. I'm just using that as an example. But I'm saying like issues that we can all agree that have to be dealt with. You know, stop with the back and forth, and as the youth, be more decisive than those before you. You know what I mean? And use common sense. You know, because what you're seeing now is a lot of older adults that common sense betrays them. You know, they will tell you science doesn't mean anything. They would tell you, they would say some crazy shit to you like, God's got my back. Don't worry about it. So, all right, well, so to date, God hasn't saved anyone. Everybody who's died, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
But honestly, I'm just saying, like, you know, the youth has to really kind of like make a big decision, because I could tell you right now that these older people, they're playing. A lot of them, have no interest in fixing anything. They're just trying to better their little small life. You know what I mean? And when you start to get that selfish in this world, you're taking away. You're not adding anymore.
I think
You
that's
know
why
what I mean?
it's very important for especially the youth to look up to people like you, because you're a role model in a way. You know, a lot of kids look up to you, man, if you think it or not.
I
And
try to tell the truth to them as much
yeah,
as I can, but I'm an old man, so they're only gonna listen to half of it.
for the people like even listening to this podcast, man, I truly believe it's about planting seeds. Let's just say a few hundred people
Yeah,
listen to this. That matters so much in terms of changing the community, because that one
yeah.
person could be living over here, one person could be living over there, and they can spread their ideas, and that person spreads their ideas. People think that one person can't make a difference, but honestly, as time goes on, I'm
No,
starting to
that's not
realize
true. Yeah.
people really can spread a better message and changes the world, man. It sounds crazy because people think
No,
oh, the world is
it
so big,
definitely
9 billion
doesn't.
people, you know.
It definitely does not sound crazy to me. We've seen words do a lot of damage to this world. You know what I mean? So that does not sound crazy to me. And as artists, you know what I mean? I think that, a lot of these guys gotta, you know, they gotta be free to be an artist, man. Start learning to express yourself, man. Start really learning to speak your mind, be yourself, be confident. You know what I mean? Um, you can revel in being a good person. You can feel good about, making positive decisions and making good decisions in your life. So yeah, I mean, I want everybody to get involved with living. You know what I mean? As an artist, I'm gonna tell you, get involved with living, man. Like, start living every moment. Not like it's your last, but like it's a good moment. Just really start doing what you do. My friend had said to me, "Oh man, some people probably think you cocky, got your name NM the Great." And I was like, no, man, it's not about that. It's about like me being the greatest NM I could ever be. Like, I'm just great at being myself. And that's just how I feel about it. Like, that's how you should be. Just feel great about being yourself and really think about like what you want to contribute to your art, contribute to your neighborhood, contribute to your world, contribute to your family. A life of substance is rich, right? And you can have that if you really just um feel confident in yourself and feel like you can contribute something. You know what I mean? Like I said, I might not be the best graffiti writer, but I try to do different things and have fun with it and contribute something to the graph scene in Philadelphia. And hopefully, if you do it right, it becomes like I'm contributing a little something to the East Coast, a little bit something to American graph, and hopefully a little bit something to the world scene of graph. That's what you want, is to really kind of be a part of the history of all this. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yo, it's been an hour, bro. I want to say thank you so much for all the positivity that you've been showing and all the things you said. You said a lot of amazing things. I hope that people listen. I hope that people get influenced, and I hope that people change their mentality a little bit on stuff and just, live be a better version of themselves. Like you said, Enem the Great. You just like be the greatest Enem you can be.
Yo, exactly. HOC podcast, yo, it's a blessing, man. Thank you guys. I appreciate chopping it up with you. We just talking real life stuff, so that was fun. You know what I mean? Good stuff. And I wish you guys the best and
Yo,
everything
thank
you
you.
do. You seem like some solid fellas.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
time, brother.
thank you, man. Peace.
Appreciate you, my man.
Later.